is new.
Well, let's start with Damsels in Distress. If you listened to the show last week, Whit Stillman came on, Metropolitan, Last Days Disco of Barcelona, and at that point you had seen Damsels in Distress and I hadn't. Correct. And I know that you had some reservations about it. Whit Stillman is one of those people who tends to polarise audiences. I mean, he is to some extent, indie art house darling. I still think that Last Days of Disco is his best film. So the story here is it's a college campus setting. The best way of imagining it is it's like ironic Animal House. There is
If only.
Fine. Let me do my bit, and then you can leap in, and we can set to about it. So the story is a young girl comes to campus. There is a group of young women led by Greta Gerwig who are running an anti-suicide campaign. They think that they can prevent the students from becoming depressed and suicidal by feeding them coffee, donuts, and tap dancing. They also have a mission to go out with ugly boys for reasons which shall be explained.
Do you want to talk about it? What was his name?
Josh.
If you'd rather not talk about it, we don't have to.
No, it's okay. I keep thinking how he used to gaze at me with such love in his eyes. You know what I mean?
No, I've never actually seen that.
Just days ago, he'd gaze at me. His eyes, so blue.
He had blue eyes. So does Frank. Frank's the guy that I go out with. Otherwise, he's not conventionally good-looking, which I actually prefer. Would you describe Josh as handsome? That's a problem.
Could I join you guys?
Yes, please. Chris and I were just talking. In my view, handsome men are to be avoided. I don't even consider good looks to be flattering in a man. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Now, the sadness is that we're not live streaming this at the moment, because if you'd been able to watch me and Simon and I listening to that clip, you would have seen me here chuckling, smiling, and you with a look of grim death on your face. And
brought it all back.
The fact of the matter is that the film clearly divides people, and it's one of those movies in which, and this is not the only one this week, in which you kind of make a decision to go with it or not. There is an arch, dry humour to it that if it doesn't catch you, if it doesn't start you giggling, if it doesn't tickle your fancy, would very, very quickly, I imagine, become annoying. As it happens with me, I was rather charmed by it. There were certain things in it that I found problematic. One of them is one of the characters doing a very, very strange English accent. She keeps referring to a man, he is a playboy or operator. Of course, it turns out that actually later on the joke is that she is doing an English accent. As Greta Gerwig says, "You're not from London." She says, "Of course I'm from London. I went to London and I came back. Therefore, I am from London."
You've just made it funnier than the film.
Well, no, but during the course of the screening that I was watching, I was thinking of things like it's a lighter, more glacial version of the themes that you get in Heathers. It's clearly a Whit Stillman film. Any film, I think, in which it's suggested that the great cure for depression is dance crazes and specifically tap dancing, I have a great fondness for. But I was aware that as I was watching it, of all Stillman's films, it is probably the one which is going to be the most divisive. And I had a strange experience of sitting in a screening in which it was really hard to tell how anyone else was feeling. In fact, the person I was sitting next to, I thought was completely hating the film. At the end, I turned to him and said, "Oh, you hated it?" They said, "No, I didn't. I really liked it." However, you had completely the opposite reaction. You weren't charmed. You thought it was...
I thought within 10 minutes the most irritating film I'd seen this year by a long
And what
stretch.
was it specifically that irritated you?
Oh, the four girls. Is it four girls?
Yes.
And couldn't get beyond that. In fact, the title...
Well, the four girls, that's irritating.
All of them, they were all deep... Well, you just mentioned the affected English accent, which then turns out to be a fake English accent. But by then I'd sort of lost all interest. I just wanted something, a Michael Bay sort of rocket from a battleship somewhere to just come and take them. I just couldn't... It was like... I mean, you're right, it is extremely divisive. I have some listener reviews in just a moment, and but the reviews were getting 3 and 4 stars, and so it's clearly there are a lot of people liking it, and I have to say they are the most irritating women that I've seen on screen this year.
You see, the thing I would say is that one of the things I had heard from people who didn't like it was that it's a word that it's quirky. I mean, for me, quirky is just like the sound of, nails on a blackboard. A tiny little bit quirky and irksome are very much the same thing. And I actually didn't think it was quirky. I thought what it was arch. And it doesn't entirely work. I think it's been recut since it was first played anyway. There are certain areas in it in which it seems to wander off into material which is more dark and explicit than the rest of the movie seems to have the right to bear, and that seems to have been reined in. But I actually thought, in the end, largely I think because I think Greta Gerwig carries it off very well, it is a strange, oddly charming oddity that will annoy probably more people than it enchants. But if you do go with it, it's archly fascinating, and I have to say it did put a smile on my face, even as I knew just how much it would annoy some people.
Stephen in London on this email, I've been listening happily to you both for more than a year now, but it's only the arrival of Damsels in Distress that has prompted me to write in. This was the surprise film at the 2011 London Film Festival, and boy was I surprised. I like to think that my background, BA Film Studies, Queen's University Belfast, and MA with merit in film editing at Bournemouth, I have a healthy tolerance for most of what gets released cinematically to the world, but never in my life has one film moved me to be so utterly angry. This was my first Whit Stillman movie, and it has left such a bad taste in my mouth. Even now, 6 months since I saw it, I doubt I'll ever watch another one again. I could see that he was trying to take a satirical look at US college life, but it fell a long way short of being remotely entertaining. The bland, cardboard cutout characterization and aimless conversations that spin off tangentially to absolutely nowhere in particular left me yearning for someone to walk on screen and give them a slap with a reality stick. I have a low threshold for the whimsical and weightless, but this was something else altogether. And don't get me started on the Sambola. This is the dance which they've invented and which they try and portray at the end of the film.
But okay, I think that absolutely, I can understand that reaction. I don't agree with it, but I understand it entirely. I think that the idea that thinking of the film as whimsical, it isn't whimsical. I'll say it again. I think it's arch. I think it's more pointed than being whimsical. There is a key central idea is that the central character has decided that the way to do something good for humanity is to start a new dance craze, because obviously dance crazes are great and they bring people together. And there is one scene of terrific pathos in which, in a pretty much empty dance hall, she attempts to start off this new dance craze, the Sambola. And I think that's a kind of talismanic thing. If you don't find that scene in any way funny, you just find it infuriating and irritating, then the film is going to have that. I mean, I can't think of the last time I saw a movie that I don't get me wrong, it's not a masterpiece, there are things wrong with it. But I can't remember the last time I saw a film and I thought, I like this, but I can see every reason why somebody who I respect might hate it.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.